If you've ever struggled to get your Google Ads campaigns to spend more during big sales events, or on the other hand, spend less during slow periods, then you found the right video. Today we're discussing an advanced smart bidding tool called Seasonality Adjustment. I'll break down what seasonality adjustments are, when to use them, and how to set them up. Plus, I will share tips on avoiding common mistakes and making data-driven decisions. Finally, I will share a real-life example of how I use seasonality in accounts that I manage. What are seasonality adjustments? Seasonality adjustments are a Google Ads feature that allows you to inform Google's smart bidding of expected upcoming changes in your conversion rates. Seasonality adjustments are currently available for search, shopping, and display campaigns using target ROAS and target CPA bid strategies, as well as Performance Max and app campaigns using all available bidding strategies. Essentially, you're giving the algorithm a heads up about what to expect during certain short-term events. These could be a spike during a big promotion like Black Friday, or a dip during slower periods like post-holiday slumps. But here is an important point to keep in mind. Smart bidding already accounts for most seasonal trends, so only use seasonality adjustments for significant changes in conversion rates, typically 30% or more, and only for short durations. 1 to 7 days is ideal. If you use seasonality adjustments for longer, you will see that its effectiveness and impact on your spending diminishes with time. How do seasonality adjustments work? Here's the basic idea. When you create a seasonality adjustment, you're telling Google's smart bidding to expect an increase or a drop in your conversion rates, so Google can adjust its bidding and, as a result, its spending, taking in consideration the change in conversion rate. For example, if you're expecting a 50% spike in conversion rates during Black Friday, you can set up a 50% positive seasonality adjustment, telling Google to expect a higher conversion rate during this period. As a result, Google will go out, expand your reach and visibility by bidding more during your Black Friday promotion, and in turn, that means that you will spend more and get more conversions during this period. On the flip side, if, for example, your conversion rates typically drop significantly for a week after Christmas, and you know from experience that spending at a regular rate doesn't bring results after Christmas, you can set up a negative seasonality adjustment, telling Google to expect a drop in conversion rates, so Google will bid more conservatively, spending less during this period. Once the seasonality event ends, Google's algorithm reverts to its usual performance. No negative adjustment is needed once the promotion is over. When to use seasonality adjustments? Seasonality adjustments work great for periods of strong increase or decrease in conversion rates, but it's a short-term tool that works best for periods of 7 days or less. If you're expecting a long-term change in conversion rates, it's best to address it by changing your bidding directly rather than using seasonality adjustments. For example, a positive seasonality adjustment makes sense during major sales events like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, or Valentine's Day, when running a flash sale or short-term promotions, also for industry-specific peaks like Mother's Day for jewelry or Father's Day for gadgets. On the other hand, you could use negative seasonality adjustments after big sales events when demand typically slows, when you anticipate reduced activity like an upcoming example. Really, it's whatever makes sense the most for your business and your market. How to avoid common mistakes. Here are some mistakes that a lot of advertisers make. First, don't use seasonality adjustments because of smaller conversion rate changes under 30%. Smart bidding already handles normal seasonal trends. Avoid blanket adjustments across your entire account. Focus on specific campaigns or products that see the most impact. Don't blindly set a huge seasonality adjustment just because you want to do well on Black Friday, as if your seasonality adjustment is too large, you will overspend and your seasonal peak will end up unprofitable. Finally, seasonality adjustments directly impact your spending. So if you're planning to use a positive seasonality adjustment, make sure you have enough budget for it. How to analyze data for accurate seasonality adjustment setting. Before setting anything up, you need to do some homework. Analyze your past performance during similar seasonal events on both Google Ads and GA4. and consider the following metrics. What was your conversion rate during the event versus what it usually is? How much did your CPC change? What was your impression share? And finally, consider how long your customer's conversion journey is. If it takes most of your customers a few days to convert, you can be more aggressive with your seasonality adjustments. On the other hand, if your customer's conversion journey is long, you might want to be more conservative in order to maintain your visibility and not focus too much on short-term shifts. The precise approach to calculation of what seasonality adjustment to choose will depend on your specific circumstances. But here's the logic that you can apply as a starting point. Let's say last year during Black Friday, your conversion rate jumped from 2%. That's a 75% increase. But if at the your CPC also increased by 20%, for example, you wouldn't use the full 75% seasonality adjustment. Instead, you're expecting higher than usual CPC in order to avoid overspending. For a more conservative approach, you might set a 50 to 60% seasonality adjustment. At the same time, you need to consider your impression share. If your impression share is already large, like 80 or 90%, spending more will not bring you nearly as much additional visibility and exposure if your impression share was much lower, at 20%, for example. So make sure to consider your impression share. If it's already significant, then you might want to be more conservative with the positive seasonality adjustments. Finally, I want to add that different accounts may react differently to seasonality adjustments, so I highly recommend you to closely monitor your spending, your CPC, and most importantly, your revenue or your leads. If you see that you're spending too much, your CPC is getting too high, and you're not generating revenue to justify this additional spending, go ahead and reduce your seasonality adjustment to make sure that you don't overspend. On the other hand, if you're getting more conversions than you expected, or if your seasonality adjustment didn't increase your spending by as much as you were expecting, you can increase your seasonality adjustment. This way, you will get the best results out of your seasonality. How to set up a seasonality adjustment? Here's how to set up a seasonality adjustment in your Google Ads account. Go to Tools, Budgets and Bidding, Adjustments. Or just type seasonality in search. Click New Seasonality Adjustment. Select the adjustment type. Usually this will be conversion rate. The budget one just directly reduces or increases budgets of your campaigns, and I don't recommend using it. Name your event like Valentine's Day sale or post-Christmas slowdown. Set the start and end dates. For example, Black Friday might run from November 24th to November 27th. Under Scope, choose which campaigns to include. Focus on those with relevant historical performance rather than applying it to your entire account. If needed, filter by device, mobile versus desktop, but personally, I don't use this functionality. Finally, input your adjustment percentage. For a big sale, this might be an increase by 50%. For a slow period, it might be a decrease by 40%, for example. Click Save and you're done. Post-seasonality analysis. Once your seasonality event is over, take time to review your performance. Look at your conversion rates during the adjustment period, CPC trends, overall ROAS, and most importantly, take note of what you did, what you learned, and what results you received, so you can use this data to refine your strategy for the next seasonal event. Remember, every adjustment is a learning opportunity for you and your business. A real-life example of how I plan to use negative seasonality in one of the accounts that I manage. Last December, the account was managed by an agency, and looking at last year's data, you can clearly see a massive conversion rate drop for 3 days around Christmas. Despite a significant reduction in sessions, you can see this high number of sessions at the beginning of the month because the agency was driving a lot of low quality and cheap traffic, but later stopped. In addition, you can see that last year around Christmas, the agency barely spent any less on Google Ads than during the high conversion rate period. Finally, from the company's financial reports, I know that this period didn't generate nearly enough revenue to justify the spending. So this means that the agency overspent around Christmas last December. This is a perfect example of a scenario for a negative seasonality adjustment. Since CPCs actually fell during this period, and since it's a negative seasonality, I'm not worried about my impression share or search impression share. I would start with an aggressive 70% seasonality reduction. and I would monitor both spending and revenue, and if necessary, I can tweak the seasonality adjustment later. And by the way, something that I forgot to mention, that this account has a pretty short conversion window as well, so it really also makes sense to use an aggressive seasonality adjustment in the context of a short conversion window in this account. And that's everything you need to know about seasonality adjustments in Google Ads. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and ask any questions you have in the comments.